What's up, YouTube? It is your boy JB, and we are here today with the review for The Real Housewives of Atlanta, season 14, you guys, episode 13. I think this season is starting to wrap up because I know they're getting ready to film the reunion soon. But this episode is titled A Rum Punch to the Gut, you guys. This episode, you guys, it was a lot. It was a lot, and it was like the last 15 minutes of you guys, before we go ahead and just jump into it. If you guys are watching this video or any other on the channel and you guys aren't subscribed to the channel yet, then I need you guys to do me a solid favor and stop taking me out on this date and having me pay for it at the end of it. You guys know you can do me that favor by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, turning on your post notifications, and also by sharing the video, you guys. And with that out of the way, without further ado, let's discuss The Real Housewives of Atlanta, shall we? All right, you guys, so the episode, it picks up, we see Kenya. So Kenya is packing for the trip to Jamaica that, you know, Sanya is hosting. So while she's packing, Drew gives her a call, and, you know, they talk about the trip. And, you know, Drew asks Kenya, what did you think about the rules that Sanya had provided for them? And Kenya was like, girl, I ain't really listen to that shit. You know, I'm not worried about what Sanya has to say. So then Kenya tells Drew that, you know, although this is a couples trip, and that's my thing with Sanya, like, girl, why did you feel the need to make this a couples trip when you know that half of the cast is single? That was stupid in my personal opinion. Like, if like King said later on in the episode, you know, she is not, her happiness or whatever is not tethered to a man. Like, it's one of the things about Housewives that I do hate when it comes to single women, like how they clown Zelle on Potomac about not having a man. Okay, I hope y'all do the same thing to Ashley, because Ashley ain't got no man now. So I hope y'all gonna do the same shit to Ashley. But Kenya's going on a trip alone, so we're gonna have her cousin Shay come, but Shay didn't come. You know, I think she said Shay got sick. Y'all, we ain't saw Shay in them. Well, actually, I think we saw Shay a few seasons, about a season last season or the season before. But you know, somebody we haven't seen in a minute is Kenya's Auntie Cisco, that Rox called her. We have not saw Auntie Cisco in quite some time. I wonder if she okay. But that's it, you guys. Let's pause here and let's go ahead and move forward. So next up, we see Sanya and Ross. So Sanya and Ross are working out with their brother-in-law. I think his name is Tyrell. So Tyrell is Ross's best friend, and he's actually married to Sanya's sister. You know, you guys, coming into season 14 and not knowing much about Sanya, I really wanted to like Sanya, but I'm leaving this season not liking Sanya. And, you know, with season 15, I know we talk about an overhaul. We got an overhaul, right? This overhaul wasn't it. This overhaul wasn't it. We can get rid of Sanya. Actually, no, we can demote Sanya to friend of the Housewives. We can demote Marlo back to her friend of the Housewife status. And child, we can demote Sheree as well. I don't give a damn about Sheree at this point. Sheree is a no for me. Sheree has always been a no for me, but she's really a no for me this season. So Sanya asked Ross, you know, like, hey, so you happy about the trip, like hanging out with the guys? He was like, yeah, you know, I got some plans for me and the guys, so that way when y'all are doing y'all thing and arguing, we good. She's like, oh, there's not gonna be any arguing on this trip. I'm like, girl, this is Housewives. There's gonna be some arguing, and it's gonna come at the end of the episode. So yeah, get ready for it. So next up, you guys, let's pause here and let's move forward. All right, you guys, next up is Drew. So we see Drew, so Drew and Ralph. So Drew, you guys know that Ralph is writing this book right about co-parenting. And he's talking to Drew. Now, the one thing Drew was talking about, you know, him turning on the AC, and she's like, the kids ain't here. He's like, I don't want your wig to lift. When he said, I don't want your wig to lift, and she had to say, well, you know what? The wig did lift. I was like, girl, the wig lifted inside? Oh, what kind of, I know you got some good hair from Portia, but girl, why is your wig lifting? It's not secured good enough? Okay, Drew. So Ralph has, was that woman his publisher? Yes, his publisher came over. Ooh, that publisher. That eyeshadow that woman had on, I was like, man, you look like I mean, it was green. It was throw up green. I was like, girl, that is a lot of eyeshadow, and it's heavy. So they talked to Drew about the book. Now Drew knows nothing about this book, what the book is about, what he's putting in the book. I'm like, that is kind of fucked up that you're writing a book about co-parenting, but your wife don't know anything about the book, and you're writing a book about her child that she gave birth to. So I'm on Drew's side. So then he was like, I want you to write the foreword. And she was like, I don't know nothing about the book, so how can I write a foreword about something that I know absolutely nothing about? And I was right there with Drew. Sorry, guys. So there's a truck, and it's, I mean, damn, you finna fuck up that rim. So this tire, the tire is blown out on this car, and they driving on it. I'm like, damn. But yeah, whatever. So Drew does talk about how sensitive this is, talking about her son, and I get that. I'm not gonna take that away from Drew. I know a lot of people don't like Drew. Drew don't bother me that much, but she does bother me just a teensy bit, but not that much. So they also talk about the fact that they want with her writing the foreword, Ralph, the publisher wants Ralph to be on the cover of the book, and on the back of the book, the family on the back of the book. Cool, I'm cool with that. But Ralph, why didn't you get your wife's input on this damn book? That would have been better. But hey, who am I? I don't know nothing about co-parenting. I don't know nothing about that. So I'm going to pause here, you guys, and we're going to move forward. All right, you guys. So we are getting ready for Jamaica. So Sanya has gotten 2 sprinters for everybody, right? So in one sprinter, it was supposed to be Sanya, Ross, and Marlo and her +1, who was her florist. I'm going to talk about Marlo's florist in just a little bit. I'm not going to talk about him specifically. I'm going to talk about him in regards to Marlo. So, her florist is with her. Then in the other sprinter, it is She a Fool and her friend Michelle and Kenya. And you guys remember I told you that Kenya said that she doesn't have a +1 because her cousin Shay got sick. So, over in the other sprint, all right, you guys, I'm sorry, I don't know why this thing keeps cutting off. Hopefully it doesn't do it again. But in the other sprinter with Sanya, them, she's telling so actually before they even got to leave, Ross told Sanya he left his passport at the house, so Ross had to turn back around and go get his passport, but he had Sanya's passport, and she was like, he was on passport duty. So Marlo was in the sprinter with her. So then they make it, Candy and Todd, they live close to the airport, so they just went to the airport and got there. So they're at the airport, and they are on their way to Jamaica. So they get to Jamaica, and they get on on the bus, right? So it's everyone there. So Sanya says to them, introduce your +1 in case we don't know who they are. So, Kenya says, well, my +1 got sick. And Sanya in her interview was like, yeah, well, you were sick and now your +1 is sick. Girl, why are you so focused and fixated on what Kenya got going on? Like, I'm not understanding Sanya. It is annoying at this point. Like, girl, let it be. So then Sheree's friend introduced herself, Michelle, and then we were introduced to Marlo's +1, who is her florist. Now she got a lot of shit to talk about Kenya, but girl, you got to run a date as well. So what the hell are you talking about? And then we were also introduced to Manietta's husband, who his name is Heath. Candy was like, well, you guys know Todd. And Drew was like, y'all know my husband, Ralph Pittman. Yeah, I like walks on the beach. Ralph, we know about that. We didn't forget about Tampa. We have not forgotten about Tampa, Ralph. So, I'm sorry, I don't know why this thing keeps cutting off. Hopefully it doesn't do it again. But in the other sprinter with Sanya, them, she's telling so actually before they even got to leave, Ross told Sanya he left his passport at the house, so Ross had to turn back around and go get his passport, but he had Sanya's passport, and she was like, he was on passport duty. So Marlo was in the sprinter with her. So then they make it, Candy and Todd, they live close to the airport, so They just went to the airport and got there. So they're at the airport and they are on their way to Jamaica. So they get to Jamaica and they get on on the bus, right? So it's everyone there. So Sanya says to them, like, introduce your plus one, in case we don't know who they are. So, Kenya says, well, my plus one got sick, and Sanya in her interview was like, yeah, well, you were sick and now your plus one is sick. But why are you so focused and fixated on what Kenya got going on? Like, I'm not understanding Sanya. It is annoying at this point. Like, girl, let it be. So then Sheree's friend introduced herself, Michelle, and then we were introduced to Marlo's plus one, who is her florist. Now, she got a lot of shit to talk about Kenya, but girl, you got to run a date as well. So what the hell are you talking about? And then we were also introduced to Manyetta's husband, who his name is Heath. Candy was like, well, you guys know Todd. And Drew was like, y'all know my husband, Ralph Pittman. Yeah, I like walks on the beach. Ralph, we know about that. We didn't forget about Tampa. We have not forgotten about Tampa, Ralph. So, all right, you guys, I know what it is now. It's my watch. I don't know why it keeps thinking that I'm talking to us. I've turned it off, so hopefully it won't cut off again. If it does, we're just gonna keep rocking with it. But they make it to the resort. They're in like little golf carts, so they're getting ready to go to to where they're staying at, right? So as they do that, Kenya, Ross, and Sanya were in one little cart, right? And they spotted this guy, and they made a U-turn to go back to where the guy was, right? So when they went up to him, they talked to him. Actually, it was really Sanya who was talking to the guy, asking him, like, you here alone? He was like, yeah. She's like, that's not. He's like, my brother's with me. She's like, that's not what I meant. So then, they asked him, where's he from? He said he's from England. So him and, I think it was Sanya who asked him, do you have WhatsApp? He said yes. So Kenya said, I'll text you later, because they, they asked him out to dinner. So Candy, before they can even, when they saw them turn around, Candy was like, why are we stopping? Like, I need to get to the room because I am hungry. Top's like, you hungry? She's like, yes. Y'all know how Candy is about her damn food, baby. Candy does not play about her food. So they finally got to the room, and Candy finally, and Samuel, she asked him, how is my host? And Candy was like, say what you gotta say so we can move on. I was like, Candy, come on, girl. But Sanya said, she asked them, what would they rate her? I don't know what they rated her. And she says, I got everybody's rooms. So your room is going to depend on how nice you have been to the host. Drew, have you been nice to the host? Drew said, I've definitely been nice to the host. And Candy was like, well, if Sanya says that it depends on how nice you are to the host, well, then Drew should be sleeping in the closet. I'm like, well, technically, no, because Drew has been nice to Sanya lately, so Drew should not be in the closet. But if we go about past experiences, then yes, Drew would be in the closet. So, we see all the ladies as they're getting ready for dinner. Before that, Kenya was getting text messages from John. He was just chatting with her, and, then we see them. He came to her room. Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm not saying that Kenya can't get anybody, but the way that scene was set up with John, it kind of looked like a production plant. Just a little bit. It looked like a production plant. I could be wrong. And I'm not saying that Kenya can't pull a man. I'm just saying that it looked like a plant. So he came to her room. He brought a Red Bull with him. And then we see them as they go to dinner. So he comes with them, her to dinner. Marla, she brought a straight with her. Ma'am, you got a straight with you. Like Candy said, Marlo always talks about people, but she never brings anybody with her so that we can't ask, how you get this and that. She don't want us to meet her sponsors. She sure the fuck don't want y'all to meet her sponsors. Like, remember, like, Marlo's a piece of, oh God. Marlo. So, they go around the table. Some of the ladies ask John some questions. So they asked John how old he was. So Candy said, you look like you're probably like 28. And I was thinking the same thing. Like, he about like late 20s, early 30s. So he says he's 37. I was like, wow, you look really young for 37. Okay. So then Michelle asked boxers or briefs. He said commando. King was like, I was wondering why there was a third leg at this table. So then Sanya asked Marlo about her boys. I'll talk to you about that tomorrow. No, let's talk about it tonight, bitch. So then Sheree brings up, the book that Ralph is writing about Josiah. So Marlo says, but you're adopting him, right? Congratulations on that. So he says that no, he's not adopting him because his biological father said that he wants to be a part of his son's life, and that would, kind of hurt his feelings. So he backed off of that. And Marlo was like, well, Drew, did you know that? And Drew was like, yes, she did know that. So then Marlo finds a way to make that about her, right? Well, I was in a foster system, and I know how that feels like, So, are you putting him on your taxes? Do you just take care of him? Like, what do you do? Marlo, let's ask your nephews how the fuck they feel about you telling them to get the fuck out and put them out your house for 30 days. How about that? How about that? And Candy was like, well, that's kind of interesting, Marlo, because you got your own situation that you're dealing with. So why Candy say that? Because Marlo was like, well, Candy, I don't want to talk about that. But, you might not understand it because I don't understand your situation either. Like, you put your mother before your husband. Candy was like, I do not put my mama before my husband. And it was just like, Marlo, you just, first of all, how do we get to Candy? How do we get to Mama Joyce and Candy from Josiah and Ralph to you and your nephews? All Candy was saying was, pot, please meet the kettle, because you talking about, and she's like, I was raised in the foster care system, so I just don't want him to feel like he loves his other kids more than he loves him. I don't think that little boy has that problem. I don't feel like he may and he may not. But that is a conversation that Ralph and Drew, and Ralph also said Josiah knows he has two daddies. He knows he has two dads who love him. So obviously there's nothing wrong. I get where Ralph is coming from, right? I can understand Ralph's sentiment in the fact that I'm not his biological father. And you also have to remember, in certain states, you can't legally adopt a child without the consent of the other parent. Because I know this, like here it is in Texas. I know that's a thing in Texas. Like my best friend's husband, he can't really adopt her daughter without her father consenting to it. And that piece of shit ain't gonna do it, I don't believe. I could be wrong. Nah, he ain't gonna do it. He's a piece of shit. But yeah, so Marlo, what are you talking about? So then Marlo said, but Candy, didn't you take in one of your nephews? Candy said, yes, I did, and I'm still taking care. I never put him out, and I'm still taking care of him. And yes, Candy took in Melvin. We know that. Candy took in Melvin. Melvin works at OLG. She employs him. And then Candy and Marlo were like, well, you take care of everybody. You take care of all your family. What's wrong with that, Marlo? Candy got the means and the money to take care of her family. What you trying to get at? You know what I'm saying? Marlo just be grasping at straws and shit. And then Marlo was talking about the fact that, Candy belittles Todd. Candy was like, I do not belittle my man, and you're not going to talk about him like that because he is sitting right here. I was like, oh God, Candy is getting pissed because her voice started to crack. I was like, girl, please don't cry. Girl, please do not cry. So she's like, and every man here would say that they would not want to take, be like that with your mother. Again, Marlo, where are we getting all this shit from? Like, Marlo just grasps at shit. And Kenny at one point looked at Sheree like, that's your friend. And Sheree in her interview, like, that ain't got nothing to do with it. I'm like, she is a dumbass. You want Candy to defend you, right? But in this instance, you're not defending Candy when you know goddamn well that your friend is full of shit over there. Marlo, girl, I need you to learn how to read people. Because I'm going to read you in a female. I can read you easily. Like, you talking about Candy takes care of, like, you talking about Candy takes care of people. Girl, what about the white man that take care of you? Oh, oops, did I say that out loud? And then I'm gonna read her in a few. I'm gonna read her one more time again in just a minute. So then she's talking about Candy and Todd, right? How Todd, when they were in Africa, Todd called her a country bumpkin, and he called her lame. Candy was like, I didn't even know Todd until the last day of filming. And then they showed us the footage of Candy and Todd, which they've shown us this footage multiple times. You know, I hate the fact that when it comes to this cast, this cast right here, right? And when it comes to Todd, everyone wants to talk so negatively about Todd. The way that people talk about Todd, you would think that Todd is an ain't shit motherfucker, right? You would think that Todd was a man that never worked a day in his life, ain't never had a job, but met Candy. Was like, oh, I snagged me a rich one, so I'm just gonna sit back and not do nothing. Like, we gonna stop. What we're gonna stop doing is playing on Todd. That is getting on that. I mean, even last week's episode when they did that, what Todd has with the apartment, with his condo in Jersey, we gotta stop playing on Todd. Todd is the reason that we have OLG. Todd came up with OLG. Like, a lot of Todd came up with OLG. Like, Todd was behind. Todd has production credits on BET Presents The Encore. Todd has done Hollywood Divas. Todd has done a lot. Like, let's stop playing with Todd. Let's really stop playing with Todd like that. Like, it really annoys me that people keep doing that to him, making it like he is just a slum from the streets. Like, I really want people to stop playing with Todd like that. And and you know, a lot of people might be like, oh my God, Todd hopped into the women's business. Well, Todd's name was dragged into the women's business by Marlo. So I don't feel nothing for Marlo, because Todd was in Marlo. You know I mess with you more than anybody at this table, Todd. He was like, but you saying stuff that's untrue, Marlo. And then one point she said, so your mom's a liar. Your mom's a liar. Well, no one's saying that Mama Joyce is a liar, but the things that Mama Joyce has said are untrue. That doesn't mean that she's lying, because, you know, Mama Joyce says the streets told her these things. So I'm not saying Mama Joyce is a liar. Mama Joyce's streets were a liar. So then, now Marlo really tried him when she told Candy that she was only known in Atlanta. Girl, I'm in Texas. I know No Scrubs. I know almost every Escape song. Like, I listened to Escape's album, so I know Escape. So I'm in Texas. So obviously Candy is known outside of just Atlanta. So Drew was like, well, you know, Escape had, you know, multiple albums, and they went worldwide. Marietta was like, TLC, No Scrubs, that's worldwide. Then this dumb helper, she ain't building shit, Sheree, she gonna sit there and say, well, you know, Candy did have a play in New York, and she was on Broadway, but that's only in New York. Girl, shut the fuck up. Oh, Sheree, shut up. So then Kenya was like, well, Marlo, you're Kenya called her a worldwide hoe. And I was like, amen, Kenya. Like, Marlo, you talking about Kenya's only known in Atlanta, so are you, boo-boo. You're only known in the pockets of the rich white men that have that have funded your lifestyle. You're only known in Atlanta by the boosters that you got in the clothes from. You're only known in Atlanta by the county of Fulton, you know, Fulton County's police department, with all those motherfucking mugshots you got. That's where you're known at. So who's more known? That's right, Candy, because you're the one that's only known in Atlanta by the police department, the boosters, and the rich, wealthy white men. And that's not a badge of honor, is it? Didn't think so, was it? Didn't think that was a badge of honor, did I? Should I go for it, Marlo? Should I go deeper? And I love the fact that Todd clocked Marlo, said, Marlo, I know how you got on this show. She was like, how did I get on this show, Todd? He says, you paid your way on this show. I was like, oh, shit. She's like, I came in this way. I came on the show through Phaedra. Now, I will say, in her defense, Phaedra did say, I was watching Watch What Happens Live recently when she was on there with Dorinda. Phaedra did say that she did suggest Marlo to them for Real Housewives of Atlanta. Do I care? Not really. But Marlo, you tried it, bitch. You tried it. You know, it's so interesting to me when I think about it, how everyone has such an issue with Portia and how they said Portia was bringing down the brand. What y'all think about Marlo? What do y'all think about Marlo? Yes, Portia fault. Yes, Portia made a RAPE allegation against Kandi. But Marlo goes lower. Marlo can't. Portia might have went to hell, but Marlo went below that. But hey, that's all I got to say. Let me know what you guys thought about the episode. Leave your comments in the comment section below. And subscribe to the channel, you guys. Turn on those post notifications and share the video, you guys. And until the next time, you guys, please stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves. Wash your hands. Wear a mask. Socially distance. Be blessed. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.